So it'll be a little bit hard to see, but that's the water cache down there. And me and Mary were having feet issues. She's coming off of broken feet. Her feet are hurting. I've got a couple of blisters from wearing a pair of Crocs and having some foot soreness on top of my foot. So anyway, we didn't want to go 3 miles to the next campsite. She's gonna road walk in. It's a little bit shorter, and this is where we camped last night. She set up by the water. I set up right about there, and she left at like 5 a.m. this morning. She had a trail angel come in and was gonna drop her off at a hotel, drop her pack off, come back here, slack pack. And the road walk from here to Clewiston is about 15 miles. By trail, it's like 24 or more. And that road walk doesn't look great because there's no shoulder. The traffic's pretty fast, and it's fairly busy. So my plan is to follow this canal for like I think 5 miles, and it reconnects back to this road for a little bit. And if my feet are feeling fine, I'll stay on the trail, and I'll probably just make it to Clewiston tomorrow. But if I get to that 5 miles and I'm kind of hurting, I'll stay on that road and go into Clewiston on the road walk a little bit earlier than usual. But slept on that, stealth camp or whatever. Nobody came by and bothered us. Nobody even got water that I'm aware of. I think there's a group behind us, but I think they're going just as slow as we are, so we haven't really got passed by anybody yet. I don't know if we're gonna catch up to anybody in Clewiston taking zeros or whatever, because we're kind of planning on doing the same thing. And Mary thinks that we're probably not gonna keep hiking past Clewiston, because I think she's gonna take a zero tomorrow, and then I'm gonna take probably a Nero. I'm gonna camp a little bit before and a little bit after at some like RV park or something. And I'm hoping that, my feet, I'm not worried about the blisters. Those will heal and I can take care of those, but it's the foot pain on the top that's kind of like a bone that worries me. I think that will take longer to heal. So anyway, I decided to leave a little bit early this morning just because I was already up. It's like a little after 6 right now, and I know it's going to take me a little bit longer to get to town, so I could use the extra time. But it's also a little bit windy in that spot. It was windy all day yesterday walking on the canal. Wasn't that cold, just kind of a steady wind, and died down a little bit at sunset, but kind of throughout the night it would gust a little bit, and the tarp was flapping some and keeps you up. So I knew I wasn't really going to get much more sleep anyway. So anyway, that's the update for now. You kind of see off in the distance the lights on the horizon. Pretty sure that's going to be Clewiston. I don't know what else it would be. And then there's some lights. Kind of hard to, it shows up a little bit. I think that might be Lake Harbor over there. Lake Harbor is not a very big town. It's like got a post office and that's about it. So said I'm hoping I'll be there today. Could use some energy from some town food and maybe a shower to clean up some of these blisters and all that stuff. So we'll see. So the sunsets are kind of nice out here on the canals. It's probably like sunsets and sunrises are the best time to try to make the most miles out here, just because during the day the sun's out, it can be hot, and there's not a lot of wildlife out during the day. Especially in the evenings, I've noticed that there's a lot more birds, and you know, even at night you can see the alligators and snakes and frogs and spiders and all kinds of stuff to kind of, I don't know, keep it interesting and pass some of the time. During the day it kind of feels like a grind sometimes. One of the things I was thinking about though, part of the reason why I want to try to stay on the trail, it's not so much out of like a purist, I have to do every single mile like a lot of people on the AT do it. And maybe people have different reasons for doing that, but for me, it's, at least in this particular instance, it's more to do the more challenging route. So like the easy way would be to take like the shortcut and just road walk into town. But to me, part of the experience of through hiking is to face those uncomfortable challenges, to be resourceful, to be creative, to kind of endure them, overcome them. You know, that can be anything from the weather to the terrain or just situations that happen on trail. It's kind of not necessarily fun in the moment, but when you look back on it, you're like, those are the stuff you talk about. And I think those things also make you a better hiker, because if you just always take the easy way out, there will be situations in the future when there won't be an easy way out. You'll be up on a mountain somewhere, 2 days hike from the nearest road, and something happens and you have to be resourceful and creative and endure some challenges and uncomfortable situations. And I think all the other ones that you overcame prepare you for that. So it's not like I have to stay on the trail, and because this is a relatively minor, it's like mostly just blisters and a little bit of soreness that, if necessary, probably a zero would fix 90% of it. But it's just, like I said, part of having those challenges and not just going to town when it's easiest or most convenient. My feet feel fine for right now. My blisters on the back of my heels are getting better. They're pretty much not an issue anymore. I had two more blisters on my right foot, and I think those were from where I cut the backs out of my shoes. The side, like the edge that was exposed, started rubbing it. So, and then I had a couple of holes in my socks, and where the holes are at, I had some blisters start to form. So, and then my left foot, my Achilles, it's not painful at all, but I can feel it. My ankle on my left foot is a little bit stiff, and then the top of my right foot is a little bit sore. And I think a lot of that is just from probably doing so many miles when I don't really want to, just to make it to these campsites. And I think part of it's also just maybe walking weirdly, trying to compensate for these feet pain, and trying to compensate for that has caused different muscles and tendons and stuff to start hurting. So, but as of right now, I've got all kinds of tape and Neosporin and moleskin pads and everything else on there trying to get me to town for now. Now, had I done that road walk this morning, I would have got to miss this. Like I said, these canals are kind of boring and lifeless during the day, but this sugarcane field with the, I'm guessing that's some kind of flower on top, just kind of catches the light of the sun. It's beautiful sunsets over these fields. I don't know. I think it's worth it. So this is the campsite that we were supposed to stay at last night. This is the LE1, and I mean, it is mowed, I guess, but I've heard multiple people say there's kind of like flying roaches and beetles and stuff that are all over this one. Not to mention the canal is right there, and there's like this bridge or whatever, and it smells like horse manure or something around here. I don't know what that's from, but I don't know. I just think it's kind of dumb that if they're gonna say you have to camp at this campsite, it's the only legal campsite on this levee, you need to do better than that, because like at least the stealth site that I was at last night was next to the water cache and had some water. You know, they should have a picnic table or a water pump, put the water cache here. They should, like the last one we stayed at least, you know, had a bathroom and a little picnic pavilion and everything else. So kind of glad I didn't come down here, because it does not smell great at all. It's my understanding that Clewiston is call it the sweetest city in America, because it's got real popular with the sugarcane industry, and on clear days like this you can really see all the burns. Like there's obviously one right over there. Kind of see the remnant of one back there on that horizon, kind of between those poles, and then back here it's pretty obvious. There's several of them on that horizon down there, and all of the trail for the last 12 miles been this like brushy twigs, ankle-high grasses and stuff, and it's just really slow walking through it. It'd be nice if there was an actual trail here, but you know, it's just part of the experience at this point. This is John Stretch Park. There's not a whole lot to it. That over there is the lake, if you want to call it. It's not Lake Okeechobee, but it's like an outlet that people fish. And that's like where people play sports, I guess. Nobody's here. I guess because it's like a Wednesday afternoon, but this is the Lake Okeechobee Scenic Trail up here on the dike. And then this just follows the lake. I think this is, I don't know if this is technically the lake or if it's actually way out there, but either way. This is maybe a mile or so, mile or two into the Lake Okeechobee Scenic Trail. You can kind of see that, you know, you're allowed to camp anywhere on the lake as long as you're not in a city park or in city limits, I'm pretty sure. So if you wanted to, you could camp down here. I mean, obviously you have a freeway right here, some kind of interstate or whatever. It's a little bit windy. I don't know if that's just today or because this lake is always windy. But where I just came from, John Stretch, is where a lot of cars park. There's a couple of like residential areas over there that people I've seen walking from their homes up onto the boardwalk or whatever you want to call this dike. So if you didn't want to get bothered by anybody in the middle of the night, it'd be best to probably walk at least a couple miles in to kind of get away from the traffic. I had a few people behind me. They've already turned around, so I said there's not really a great spot. This whole thing is slanted down, and the only flat part is right there by the water's edge, and it's not really mowed down at all. And I can just imagine that the mosquitoes and the condensation are going to be crazy. And there's no tree cover for shade or anything like that, so campsites are not ideal. So this busy road right here is Highway 27. Obviously you don't want to road walk that, even if you're in the median, but the road back over there, that's the old US 77 or 27, and it doesn't look like it really gets much use, and pretty much parallels this road. And you actually hit that road right before you get to John Stretch Park or Stretch Park. So that would be one option if you wanted to road walk, because one thing I am looking at, the only thing is that if you do that, it kind of commits you to getting to town, because you have to cross the highway and then there's a fence. I mean, it looks like it could probably be easily climbed because it's not in great shape. It's got a whole bunch of weeds and stuff in it, but there is a fence there, and there is some kind of canal that at one point back there had water. Here it's dry. I don't know if it stays dry for the rest of the way or not, but and then you gotta climb up this hill. So it's not impossible, but it would just be annoying if you, like, say you were over there and wanted to camp on the lake. But I'm probably gonna have to do the opposite here, because there's a Mexican food restaurant. Like, once you start from John Stretch Park, I think it's about 4 miles, and you gotta get to the other side of the freeway over there. But I think there's like a actual road that crosses down, and you can just easily walk across it. So it's a few more miles to get to that. And then there's also the Crooked Hook RV Park that has tent camping, and you can get shower and laundry and pizza delivery and all the other stuff, you know, just hang out and charge. I think that's where I'm gonna go tonight. I think it'll just work for a convenient place to charge up, and I can get pizza, and then I can take like a zero tomorrow. I'm hoping that I'll be able to ice my feet while I'm there. But anyway, if you're gonna go there from here, you have to cross this at some point. And like I said, I think there's an official crossing up here. You just have to pay attention because the crossing is like maybe a mile or half a mile before you actually get to the RV park. And if you miss it, then you'll have to do this and go down the hill and over the fence and all, yada yada. So, and those guys that just passed me, that tractor back there is the lawnmowers. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think they just mowed this, at least this section forward. I'm guessing that's what all the birds and stuff are here for. They're getting all the worms and insects that are in there. Honestly, it doesn't look a whole lot different than sections that are not mowed. So maybe they don't cut it super short, I don't know, but yeah, it looks about the same. So this is the official or easiest crossing point to get across the highway. That's the Mexican food restaurant, and then to get to the RV park, you basically take a road behind that restaurant and follow it down there about 2 miles on that old US 27 or whatever. And this is they call it like Pump House 2 something. So you just follow the dike until you get to that. Then you can kind of see the it comes down off the dike right there, and you can cross the freeway. So I'm going down here, and you can kind of see the park, I think, and those up over there in the trees, I think is the park. But it's about 2 miles from here. I just called them before I started heading off that way in case they didn't have any tent sites. They said for Florida trail hikers it's $25. The office closes at 4 p.m. but they have a after hours person, and you just get there and you can call them. They give you the gate code and everything else. So it's 3:30 right now, and I'm probably about an hour away walking, and I'll be there after hours. So that's where I crossed that. It wasn't too bad because you have to walk the shoulder for like 100 feet, but it's a pretty wide shoulder. It's big as a full lane. So, and then there's a paved turnaround spot between each side of the freeway, and you can just walk to that turnaround spot and wait. So you only have to go across one. Well, it's 2 lanes, but it's one direction of traffic. And there wasn't, I mean, it's busy, but there was quite, I mean, you could see there's quite large gaps between the cars. So I didn't even have to run at all. And I had plenty of time to walk across. And then this is the old Route 27 road that I was mentioning earlier. So if you wanted to, you could have walked this all the way back from John Stretch Park and followed it all the way to the Crooked Hook RV Park or the Clewiston if you're going that far. And when you cross the freeway right there, you could just see the pavilion for the Clewiston campsite. I mean, it's basically just like a small shaded bench next to the lake, so I kind of just wanted to get into, maybe try to ice my ankle and recharge and do all that stuff in town to try to kill some of the chores tonight, and then that way tomorrow is just like a quick resupply, and then I can take a little bit more time, do a Nero tomorrow or whatever. So I mean, if you did want to go into Clewiston, I'd almost say that this is nicer than walking on the lake over there. I mean, you got this really pretty field of sugarcane. I'm assuming it's sugarcane. I've never seen it with the white flowers at the top, but I mean, there's like this little pretty, whatever you want to call that, canal. It's kind of, I mean, this, you gotta kind of ignore all of this. It's kind of a big open field of nothing, and then you can still hear the traffic in the distance, but and you got like some trees, and there's like trash in here. There's a tire there, and I've seen chairs and tables and stuff in there. It's kind of, people dump their stuff in there, but you can kind of see the RV park in the distance there. A sign back there said closed, road closed, so I don't think anybody's ever going to drive this unless maybe they work at this RV park or something. But as far as like through traffic, I don't think you really have to worry about anything, so you kind of have it to yourself. So, I mean, I think it's pretty. This is the tenting area at Crooked Hook. So there's a water spigot there and then outlets. There's not really much for shade, but there is this picnic table here to sit at. There's also another one over there. And then that building there is, in the middle is the laundry, and then on either side is the bathroom. And the lady up front was really nice. She gave me a bottle of water. She gave me this bag of ice so I could soak my ankle. And then they give you the laundry. This is laundry detergent for free and a bar of soap for free. You can get coins for the laundry machine. And it's $2.50 for a wash, and then 25 cents for 7 minutes in the dryer. And it's open 24/7, so you can do it whenever. Only thing is they don't have towels, so you kind of have to get creative. Dry off just wearing your rain gear or use a bandana or something. I tried to get Domino's here, and people have said ordering online doesn't really work for whatever reason, but if you call them on the phone, they'll deliver, which was my experience. But they had an online coupon for like half off the pizza, so you can get a $20 pizza for $10, which is what I was gonna do. But when I tried to order it over the phone, they wouldn't let you use that coupon because it was online only. So I didn't end up getting it because I didn't want to pay $20 for a pizza. But yeah, they check you in at the front office. It's $25. Like I said, they're really helpful, and I recommend it. I think it was a better call than kind of staying at that crappy Clewiston campsite that is right on the lake. Setup in here is pretty good. We got all of these are washers, and then on this side they got all those as dryers, little baskets to move them around, and then some folding tables. So I haven't seen anybody in here all day. Not that I've really been looking, but you're not gonna have to worry about losing a washer. And then there's an outlet here to charge while you wait. Bathrooms are pretty nice in here. Shower has a detachable head. You can change the speeds or whatever on it. Hot water. And there's plenty of them. Stalls.